Recently, I had the opportunity to hike one of the 25 best hikes in America by the Backpacker magazine. It's called the Fiery Gizzard Trail, located in the South Cumberland State Park, 45 minutes outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee, coming up next. About 1 month ago, I discovered this unique but challenging hike. After doing some research on YouTube, I felt that this experience would be worth the 4-hour trip and one-night stay in a hotel. From the north entrance of the trail, it follows the Fiery Gizzard Creek for about 4 miles. There are many videos on YouTube about this hike and what to do. However, none showing you the awesome beauty of the surroundings as you hike this trail. As a landscape photographer who hiked this trail on an overcast day, come journey with me through my eyes and witness the crown jewel of the South Cumberland State Park. All right, before I actually provide the presentation of my hike or my journey, I want to say that you're going to see either a lot of video, and actually more video than you're going to see still images, so that's exciting. Some of the video, I'm going to be audio where I'm going to be actually speaking. But a lot of the video, frankly, I'm just going to be having the video where you can hear the wonderful sound of the water and the waterfalls as you are actually stepping on the trail. And when we do have still images, I'm not going to have any music behind it. It might be a 5 to 10 second stillness. Just enjoy it. Now make sure you stay to the very end. I'll have an overview of my hike, and I'll also have provide you with the best images of the hike. So enjoy. It's 7:06 Saturday morning, and I'm finally on the trail. All right, I've gone in about 1/8 of a mile, and I just want to show you as we go down to this creek or river what we have in store. As I hike this today, this is all about the journey. This isn't about trying to make a speed hike or anything. Look at this. Beauty. First time ever here. I'm going to do a quick video. Look at the beauty. I'm not even a quarter of the way in. Look at this. This is unbelievable. I'm less than a mile in, and they built this with stairs. I mean, it's 45-degree angle going down. Alright, so this used to be a pump house, and this is the foundation of the old pump house off the trail. All right, I'm about a mile in. It took a while, but I was taking photography and video, as you've seen. And here's the bridge that crosses the stream about a mile into your trail. All right, for those people that know me, I used to live in the Northwest for 15 years. And look at this. This kind of reminds me about that. I haven't seen this since I left the Philippines. Look over here. Look at it. All right, finally I'm up above the water so you can hear me. If you've never done this hike, this is extraordinary. I've gone less than 2 miles and I've seen things that I haven't seen in the Smoky Mountains. Oregon's got a lot of this stuff because I've been out in the West, but this has been rated as one of the 25 best hikes in America. You need to do it. I don't know if I'm going to get to Ravens Point at the rate I'm going, but we're onward forward. River. Now we start getting into some boulders as we're hiking up. As I hike now and you see the boulders, this is not a hike for a beginner. This is more for an advanced hiker. This is a technical hike. All right, about 1.8 miles in. This is called the Chimneys. Wow, impressive. I may need to read about this. How about that for you rock hunters? All right, so this area is a little confusing. You can see the white marker there on the tree. Up above was the one I did a sycamore, and there's the trail, but the white marker is leading me this way. Are we going to go back and then up? All right, I had heard that this trail was hard and you needed to follow the tags along the trees, and I have done so. So make sure you follow these guys here. All right, I am not going to do the dog hole trail, which goes up. I'm going to continue along the creek or river and do that, which I think is the main trail. All right, as I continue to hike, there's the little creek. And this is where I'm going through, folks. They've had a lot of rain. Anybody that's not hiking with trekking sticks and not even with hiking boots and just tennis shoes, I don't know how you do it. All right, I'm carrying my tripod directly in my backpack, as you can see, and that's because I'm using sticks. I can't carry the tripod with one hand and the sticks and effectively use it. Moving forward, I need to find a case for my tripod and be able to hang it on the back of my backpack, because every time I take it back and forth, I've got to move everything out or a lot of things out, and it's a freaking pain in the butt. All right, I'm not at the end of the hike, but I wanted to interject at this point. I thought it was important. My original goal was to actually travel 9.5 miles from the beginning of the north entrance of this trail all the way to the Ravens Point. 9.5 miles. Now keep in mind, I had to go 9.5 miles back. So we're looking at roughly, 19, 20 miles of hiking in a day? Now at this particular time in the presentation, it was already after 12. And I had already put 5 hours in the field. Probably 3 of that was the time to do the video and to get the still images. Now you may say, this is an easy hike. Well, through the lens, it looks easy because everything... Anyway, I had to get there. And to get there, I had to get off the trail. And to get off the trail, I had to go down to the river. And to get down to the river, I had to converse logs, limbs, spider webs, and everything else. But then I had the rocks that were wet along the river. I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you, the reality of it is, it was time consuming, and I had to be very careful. So that's where we are. I had to make a decision to continue. If I was going to continue and go another 4.5 miles at 12:30 in the afternoon, well, guess what? I had to go back another 9.5 miles, and that's what we'll discuss next. All right, let's talk about consequences that you take on the trail or risks when you take on the trail, especially when you're a solo hiker like myself. All right? So you have to make good decisions when you hike. Now at this point, I had already gone 4 miles out. And at that particular time, I spent 5 hours in the field. 3 of those roughly probably doing video and taking images. 2 of those probably hiking the 4 miles that already came out. Now I needed to make a decision. So we need to look at a number of things. Do I have enough water and food? I had some, but for me to go another 4.5 miles out, and plus I had to go back, you got to add the 4.5 plus 9.5. I did not have enough water and food, okay? Another thing, terrain ahead is certainly going to be more challenging than what I just did. This is the easier part of the trail. And knowing that, I decided to turn around accordingly. Time and place, you got to take into where you in the day. Yeah, I had a lot of time left. Yes, I probably could have hiked another 4.5 miles and another 9 back, but I probably would have gotten in about twilight. But because of the other 2 things not having that, but the biggest thing was that I didn't want to get another hotel room. I still had a 4-hour trip to make from where I was to Newport, Tennessee, and I didn't want to be driving in the dark. So for all of those reasons, that's why I stopped it at that particular time. I knew as I hiked back another 4 hours back, I would see some things that I missed, take more pictures and more videos. I had a beautiful morning with God, and nature was blessed. So therefore, I stopped at that point. Hey, do you remember how you have to follow the white? Of course, I'm going in the opposite direction. But what I actually did, instead of not going down here, I went up here thinking it was a trail. I didn't get lost for long. I worked my way back down and the trail is there. Follow the trail to the Yellow Brick Road. This is the end of the video, and we're going to just discuss two matters. As promised, I'm going to give you an overall opinion of this hike and how and what I would do differently if I was to do it again, which I am going to do. And secondly, I'm going to promise you that I'm going to provide you 9 images, the best of the best, for you to enjoy. And if you want to tell me which ones you like, please do so. Let's discuss the hike. This is truly a very special hike. And as I've said before, if you haven't done it and you're physically able and capable of doing it and having all the proper food, gear, and wear the proper stuff to make it, you need to do it. What I'd like to do, if I was to do it again, and I'm going to do it again, is I would start on the north, just like I did, and go all 13.5 miles all the way to the end to the south entrance. To do that, you'd have to actually get a second vehicle, which hopefully my brother David, who lives in Atlanta, and his lady friend Lisa will join me from Atlanta. We'll have 2 cars where we would converge there, leave one of the cars in the south side, go all the way to the north side, and then trek through 13.5 miles in one day and travel that accordingly. That would be very special. If I'm going to do it, I'm certainly not going to be taking my camera and my tripod. It would just maybe a simple, quick images and photographs together, and that would be it. All right, let's talk about the photography aspect of the trip. Back in the day when I was living in Oregon, I used to shoot with an actual real camera and shooting 35 millimeter slides. And the problem was you never knew what you had until you actually got it developed. Nowadays, when I'm shooting my iPhone, well, you know what you got. I can actually convert it into long exposure and I can see what I've got. Needless to say, after this hike, yes, I was exhausted mentally and physically, but it was a good way because I knew I had some great images had taken. That particular, I was blessed, just totally blessed. But I worked hard at it. I picked a day that I knew that was going to be overcast and maybe even rainy, and I was blessed with not having any wind. So that being said, I'm going to provide you 9 images that you can review and go over. These are the best of the best. And if you want to comment and tell me which ones you like, go ahead and do so. I'd greatly appreciate it as I was shooting from my iPhone. Enjoy. Well, I hope you enjoyed those top images. You don't know, but now that I've laid them out, about half of those were on the back end of my trail, believe it or not. So sometimes when you go forward, you don't see everything, but when you go back and you see it in a different way, you pick up on stuff. So keep that in mind as you continue to do photography if you do so. Thank you for watching my video. This has been a wonderful presentation and production. I put a lot of time and energy into this, and I would greatly appreciate you hitting the like button, greatly appreciate you making any favorable or interesting comments, and certainly if you want to subscribe, please do so. I wish you continued success and happy and safe travels on your hikes, and God bless.